My name is PukeLust. These are my friends, subconscious callers. Don't pay any attention to him, he's a shit. And Mhir. And before we get started, I would like to let you all know that today is my birthday. That's when you're supposed to cheer. Okay, well, we're off to a bad start already. I see a lot of people in the audience who didn't get me anything last year, so you're gonna have to be extra super nice to me today, okay? I played my mother a song about stripping corpses naked because I thought it would be funny. My mother is a psychologist and she doesn't really understand sexual sadism, which kind of makes it difficult to interact and communicate about my relationships. Not that too many of them involve the aforementioned, precious few do really. But that's predominantly because it's hard to find people that will beat you until you're screaming and bleeding and then drink your blood. I understand that if she knew, I would be something horrible. So I guess what I do is self-deprecate about it and spin it with humor, because how else do you tell your mother, I like it when boys play dead? I really want to cut my throat in front of the people I read to, and the only reason that I'm going to mortician's college, sorry, that's probably a little too much to tell your mother, but you get what I'm driving at. I have no idea where these compulsions came from. Maybe I was wrapped in blankets too tightly as a child, or held too hard by my father, who because of his illness couldn't control his muscles as effectively. I saw a boy in preschool carve his chin up on top of a fence that was lined with barbed wire. And he had practically bled out by the time he got help, and maybe that was what did it. Regardless, what I now know is that we can't fuck unless you'll hurt me, and let me hurt you, 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 and stop breathing, and let me hurt you. The number one item on my birthday list this year is a pack of nitrile gloves. The number two is a collection of razors. And the number three is shoelaces that won't break, and a hard copy of that album I tried killing myself to. And maybe when you put them all together, you'll get something vaguely resembling dignity, or maybe at least a pretty picture, and somebody involved will have an orgasm. This is how I say hello. How are you? I'm fine. Oh, by the way, if anybody feels compelled to approach me and get down on their knees, you can drink my spit. It'll get you sick, probably. When you look at me and smile like that, it makes me want to sit on your chest and choke you until your eyes roll back in your head and your body finally blows its hot load of piss all over the back of my skirt, making the throat. Sorry, I can't see. I'm blind in one eye because my boyfriend punched me. I would lean in and whisper, "You're so pretty this way," and I'd giggle as I felt your corpse's last few convulsions, muscles spasming furiously, the last bastion of your rebellion against the inevitable. And I would hold you there, whimpering and maybe sobbing, cradling your neck, never fantasized about chewing your eyes out. And the teeth rotting out of my face shine wide open joy, and I love you. I love you so much. Do you think that my pussy is filled with anything but flies? Your whole life is a collection of images that you thought were going to be poignant, but they actually just turned out to be really disappointing. When you went to the store with really heavy eyeshadow on so people would think you had a black eye and ask if you were okay, they didn't. When your mom asked about the rope burn on your neck and you were too scared to tell her that it was actually rope burn. When you bought... There I go again. When you brought your flask full of whiskey to class because you were too sad to function without alcohol, but still kind of hoped that somebody would stop you from drinking it, and nobody really did. When you told the person that you love most, you know, you can kill me if you want. And he said that he probably wouldn't. You were ready to scream at someone who had been terrible to you for weeks, but all that came out was choked whimpers, and you stared at the floor after while you consoled them. When you asked your boyfriend to rape you, and he didn't. When you told your friends I dress and act like a 12-year-old girl because I want to get fucked like one. And they reacted without pity, they were just kind of vaguely disgusted. You tried to hang yourself in the bathroom of your empty apartment in Denver where you've never really spent that much time, and the belt broke and you just looked like a fucking idiot. Well, hey, I mean, at least it was a better attempt than the pills. That went terribly.
5 better belts, 5 better pills.
I'm sorry I'm poor because I spend all of my money on anime merchandise. When you're sitting on top of a cliff in Big Sur and you just scattered your father's ashes and all you can really think about is how nauseous you are because you spent all of last night drinking and carving yourself up because you couldn't really deal with the fact that your dad was really, truly, finally, for serious, gone. For good this time. And you think about how maybe if you puked over the side of the cliff, your vomit would intermingle with what was left of him down in the water, and maybe he could feel that in whatever nebulous consciousness there is or isn't after death. But then you realize how stupid that sounds, and you tell yourself, that's fucking retarded. Why do I romanticize filth so much? Am I really that disgusting? If somebody could tell me that they loved me right now, I'd probably just ask them to strangle me, or something. I wish someone would kill me. So I didn't have to think about this crass shit all the time. Your mom has been yelling at you to come back to the car for like 10 minutes now. And you look back on all of this, all of it, and you can't feel anything but shame or a desire for more suffering, that same kind of suffering, because that's how you cope. Because you can't make it go away, because you're too pathetic and you're too much of a masochist, and you aren't even really sure if you want it to go away anyway. But the best part of being a masochist is that you can use your blood to disguise the fact that you're sitting alone in the shower in a puddle of your own piss. Does anyone want to hear a happy poem? That's good because I don't write those anyway. This is my tentative birthday list, and if any of you can get me anything on here, I'll love you and we'll be best friends forever. I want to pull out my own eyes. I want to fill my panties with urine and die. I want to be punched in the face more often. I want to bleed all over your daughter. I want to rip my tooth out with pliers because everyone who's offered to rid me of it has left my life. I want to have 2 children just so I can torture one and see how it affects the other when he hears his screams every night. I want to be tortured, and I want to throw myself into a trash compactor and skin myself and roll around in salt and blink through needles. I want to dress my wounds with my own saliva. I want to worship infection. I want it because I don't want it. I want to be subjected in entirety to absolute oblivion. I want it because I've learned to want it. I want it because I've learned that wanting it is the only way things will be okay. I want to cut your throat and watch the way your lice-ridden blood leaks out over a wood laminate floor in my room and intermingles and twists around the piles of clothes and books and discarded 40s and garbage. And I want to take that knife from your stupid, ugly slit neck and jam it into my own until a copper stink fills the room. And jets of my blood spray like a burst water valve everywhere, coating everything in a fine red mist that might look like everything had been spray painted for the sake of producing a mediocre prop in a children's costume aisle in the first week of October, rammed haphazardly between fairies and superheroes and magical girls and probably forgotten by whoever picked it up in the first place. Realizing how shoddily made it is and thinking to themselves, you know, I could probably just make this at home. And that's why we're here. Because I'm making it at home. So please, give me everything on this list. Let me bleed in you. Please let me bleed in you. We can have cake after, if you'll just let me bleed in you.
Neon Viking Funeral's gonna play next. We're pretty ass blessed.